Check one, check. Check one.
Ready?
Yeah, I don't have anything to start with other than Hine Matov. Why don't we just do wrapped?
Or whatever you want.
Sure, yeah, I'll do traditional Shalom Aleichem. No, traditional Shalom Aleichem.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
I guess we could have come down.
We could. I mean, that seems like an awful lot of work and things like setups. Hine ma tovu manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manayim, shevet achim gam yachad.
We're on page 10. Page 10.
Hine ma tovu manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. 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 Hine ma tovu manayim, shevet achim gam yachad.
Shabbat Shalom. The words mean how good it is to be here together. We're going to continue to just move into Shabbat, leave our week behind. Page 24. Let's join together in Shalom Aleichem as we welcome in the Shabbat messengers of peace.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Asharit, Malachi Elyon. Mi melech Malachi Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachi Ashalom, Malachi Elyon. Mi melech Malachi Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni l'shalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon. Mi melech Malachi Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Zeichem l'shalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon. Mi melech Malachi Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Shabbat Shalom. It is good to celebrate Shabbat again, to end our week together, to enjoy this time of celebration together. We are adding to our Shabbat celebration this evening with a Pride Shabbat. In the month of June, we recognize Pride, the rainbow of colors of our community, the spectrum of gender identity, and so we'll be weaving in. You'll note our rainbow candles this evening, and I will be sharing along with our regular Siddur, Mishkan Tefillah, a few alternative translations of prayer from this Siddur called Mishkan Ga'ava, which is in the Mishkan series. A whole Siddur written, Mishkan Ga'ava, is where pride resides, and a celebration of LGBTQ Jewish life and ritual. So I'll be bringing in some of the translations from this Siddur. And lastly, it is wonderful to celebrate with the Bordeaux family, as Jessica Bordeaux will be called to the Torah tomorrow morning as a bat mitzvah. So we're going to invite some members of Jessica's family to light our Shabbat candles. Her grandmother, Judy, her mother, Dara, and her sister, Julie. If you would make your way up to our bima, and we're on pages 2 and 3.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shel Shabbat.
As we bring in the light of Shabbat, the light of the rainbow, welcome to those joining us on our live stream as well. We're going to turn now to page 20. Page 20 for Lechad Odi. We welcome in the face of Shabbat, the bride of Shabbat, verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. And on that last verse, I invite you to rise, face our doors to bring Shabbat in.
I'm in the wrong key. How about that? I was just, yeah, that would have been real high or real low.
It was Rabbi Micah's last day of school today.
Lechad Odi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela, shamor bezachor v'dibur echad ishmianu, el hameyuchad Adonai echad, u'shemo echad l'shem tiferet, v'titila lechad Odi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela, likrat Shabbat lechu יהי מקור הברכה בראש מקדם, הסוף מעשה במשל Shabbat Milah Lecha Dodi Ikatala Beni Shabbat Nekabela Itoreri Ivaore Umiori Shir Daperi Kivod Adonai Laich Bigla Lecha Dodi Ikatala Beni Shabbat Nekabela Oi V'Shalom Ateret Bala Gam V'Simcha U'Betzola Toch Emuneh Am Segula Oi Chala Lecha Dodi Ikatala Beni Shabbat Nekabela Ya la la ya la ya la la ya la ya la la
Remain standing and turn to page 26 for Chatzi Kaddish, which will lead us into our call to prayer. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah be'amad yivrach yirutei v'amlich malchutei v'chayechon yom echon u'chayedecho beit Yisrael Bagala, ubizman kariv, veimeru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach, le'olam ulam me'almaya, yitbarach ve'yishtabach, V'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shemei Kudesha Brichu Leila min kol birchata v'shirata Tushbechata v'nechemata Damiran be'alma v'yimeru amen. Page 28, we begin our call to prayer with English words reminding us to be awake and present in the moment.
Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed Le'olam Va'ed Ya la la
for this translation of Ma'ariv Aravim, our prayer for the evening. We'll join in the last line of the Hebrew together. It's called Twilight People. As the sun sinks and the colors of the day return, we offer a blessing for the twilight. For twilight is neither day nor night, but in between. All of us are twilight people. We can never be fully labeled or defined. All of us have many identities and loves, many genders and none. All of us are in between and at the intersection of histories. All of us are crisscrossed paths of memory and destination, streaks of light swirled together. We are neither day nor night. We are both, neither, and all. May the sacred in-between of this evening suspend our certainties, soften our judgments, and widen our vision. May this in-between light illuminate our way to the God who transcends all categories and definitions. May the in-between people who have come to pray be lifted into this twilight. We cannot always be defined. We can always say a blessing. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'ma'ariv Aravim. And let's join together in our prayer on page 32, Ahavat Olam, God's everlasting love for us. Everlasting love, you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai, our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. May be seated. We're going to call Jessica forward to lead us on page 36, words of Torah, Ve'ahavta, you shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your might.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha v'hayu ha'devarim ha'elech asher anachi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha uv'lektecha v'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha uv'shartam le'ot al yadeha v'hayu letotafot bein eineha uchtavtam al mizuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tiskeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'hitem kedoshim le'Elohehem Ani Adonai Elohim Asher Hotzeiti Etchem Me'eretz Mitzrayim Liot Lachem Le'Elohim Ani Adonai Elohim
Adonai Elohim, amen.
I often wonder what it would have felt like to walk through the parted sea like the Israelites did to freedom. And as Rabbi Karen just mentioned, I got done teaching school today, and one of the classes I taught, Living the Jewish Story, looked at the Jewish narratives and history that we tell from the Exodus from Egypt. And we kept having a variety of debates. Are these stories facts? Did they actually happen? Or are they truths? Do they get to something deeper? And really, I don't care if the sea actually split in reality. To me, it's not about proving anything. It's about feeling it. Can you feel what it would have been like? Can you live in that truth? And so often when we sing Mi Chamocha, we sing it as a song and a dance and an exuberance of freedom. But if you think about walls of water on each side of you and waves nowhere near you, maybe it's just silent. Maybe it's like being in the amniotic fluids of freedom. So this melody by Cantor Mark Lipson maybe captures that truth of our story. Page 40. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh Torah tehilot, oseh Torah tehilot oseh peleh. Malchutecha ra'u v'anecha bokei hayam b'fnei Moshe u'Miriam Ze'eli anu ve'amenu Adonai Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed.
V'namar kifad Adonai et Yaakov, ugalo miyad chazak mimenu, Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. We continue on page 42 with our prayer for safety and peace, Hashkivenu. We're going to sing the Hebrew and then pause for, again, an alternative translation. And this prayer invokes the image of God's Sukkot Shalom, God's shelter of peace spread over us.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Shalom V'hamidenu Shomeinu L'chaim Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'shalom V'hamidenu Shomeinu L'chaim.
A prayer for safety. God, place me in a safe environment where I do not need to fear for my safety when I am with my significant other. Help create a world where I can hold their hand, be affectionate, and love my partner without hatred, causing harm to my physical and emotional well-being. Keep me, my family, and my partner safe when our existence and love is tried by those who do not accept us. Baruch atah Adonai hapores sukat shalom aleinu v'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over all of us, over your people Israel, and over Jerusalem.
Ashkeinu Adonai, Eloheinu v'shalom, v'hamidenu shomeinu l'chaim.
Ashkeinu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomeinu l'chaim. We'll continue on page 44 as we sing about the covenant of Shabbat, the joy of Shabbat, and resting on the seventh day.
V'shamru b'nei Yisrael
et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat b'dorotam, berit olam, b'ni u'bein b'nei Yisrael, oti le'olam. Sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat Shabbat vayinafash Shabbat vayinafash Shabbat vayinafash Shabbat vayinafash. I invite you to rise if you're able for our tefillah, the central prayer of our service, page 46. Especially if you completed Hebrew school this year in 6th grade, this is good practice. We'll begin together in the Hebrew and then pause to add any prayers from our hearts, and you're welcome to be seated after that when you are ready. Adonai sifatai tifach
ufiyagi
tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, let my mouth may declare your praise.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Koneh Hakol V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot U'Mevi Geula Livnei V'nehem Leman Shemo Be'ahava Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. Continue silently either with the words on the pages or the prayers from our hearts. We invite you to come back together with a special song that you can, and prayer that you can find on your purple page, called Love is Love is Love, written by contemporary Jewish composer Dan Nichols. We were with him when he shared this melody for one of the first times, and you'll notice in the Hebrew the blessing for a rainbow. So in the spirit of pride and spectrum of colors and identities, I invite you to join with us. Whatever you are, whatever I am, we are more than woman or man. Whatever you are, whatever I am, we are more than woman or man. I met a girl in Ohio. She told me she had rainbows in her eyes. Rainbows in our eyes. We'd see where love resides. Rainbows in our eyes. The colors multiply when love is love is love is love is love is love is love. Love is love is love is love is love. Love is love is love is love is love is love is love. Love is love is love is love is love. There is a light shining through us. We are kaleidoscopes of hope.
helps us all to see what love can truly be, a gift to set us free,
pure and holy, and I see you right beside me.
There's
Never been another one like you. Do you see me right beside you, holding on to this spinning
arc
world
of green and blue,
where love is love is love is love is love is love is love. Love is love is love is love is love. Love is love is love is love is love is love is love. Love is love is love is love is love. In the end and in the beginning, faithful love and light never dimming. In the end and in the beginning, faithful love and light never dimming. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam.
Baruch atah Adonai
Eloheinu melech haolam.
Zocher habrit v'ne'eman
Bivito v'kayam mamaro. Love is love is love is love is love is love is love. Love is love is love is love is love.
Love is love is love is love is love is love is love.
Love is love is love is love
is love. We turn our thoughts, in addition to love, to healing and to health. You can find Misha Berach on page 253, as we especially pray for these members of our community who are ill at this time. Colin Monroe, Enrico Mascaro, Annette Zerachian, Benjamin Horowitz, Bradley Dichter, Matteo Goldman, Toby Weiner, Esya Rushovskaya, Eileen Arnone, Jean Sands, Tom Fiorino, Carolyn Weil, Stephen Driscoll, Jerry Spingarn, Beth Gottlieb, Joseph Sands, Samantha Weiner, Ethel Sharanow, Rhea Rebecca, Ida Kublin, Peter Lawrence, Sarah Batavid Yosefia, Mark Albion, Herb Kupferschmidt, Linda Asher, Alan Aflito, Rosalind Slifka, Jonathan, son of Anna, and Peggy Monroe. If there are others that you would like to name, others that you are praying for, you may share with us.
Mishabirach Avotenu Mekor Abracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen.
Imotenu Mekor Abracha Lavotenu, bless those in need of healing
with refuah
Shelema, the renewal of
body,
the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. This past Sunday was a first here in the town of Westwood. It was the town's first ever Pride event. It was held just down the road at the Council on the Aging, outside of the gazebo. A beautiful, warm day. Rabbi Mike and I were there. Anyone else happen to stop by? I know we don't all live in Westwood. So it's pretty amazing that this was a first because, of course, there has been a Boston Pride event for quite a few years. But we realized here in Westwood that we didn't have anything local. So the idea actually grew out of some talk amongst my fellow clergy because we wanted to put a positive religious voice on LGBTQ awareness. So we approached Inclusive Westwood, which is an organization of volunteers here in town, and Temple Beth David, First Parish Church, and St. John's ended up co-sponsoring this first ever event. And if you have driven through the center of town by Town Hall, first time ever that there is a pride flag that was raised this year. So Sunday was just a ton of color and rainbows, and I was out with my Rainbow Star of David t-shirt, and there was a lot of visible support. This year, however, talking about pride seems a bit like this week's Torah portion, Shalach Lecha, and I know Jessica's going to know what I'm talking about. Because in the portion, the Israelites have been wandering in the wilderness, finally approaching, getting closer to the Promised Land, and Moses sent out 12 spies to scout out the land of Israel to see if the people could actually enter. 10 spies came back with a very negative report saying, no, turn back, don't go forward. And only 2, Caleb and Joshua, came back, encouraging the people to move forward, that indeed the land of Israel was a land flowing with milk and honey. Like the 10 spies, this year has certainly not been all rainbows and glitter. I want to name the truth that nearly 500 anti-LGBTQ plus bills have been proposed or passed in this year alone. It is a scary statistic. And yet, like the vision of Caleb and Joshua, we also don't want to be demoralized by how dire things are. We want to hold on to a sense of hope. Perhaps you saw some of the signs on your way in from the Keshet organization. Keshet is the Hebrew word for rainbow. It is a national organization for LGBTQ equality in Jewish life specifically, and its main office is right here in Boston. So Keshet has been using language this year like joy and resistance, strength and resilience, and celebration and protest, much like those spectrum of views in Shalach Lecha. Now, I've spoken from this bima in the last few years about inclusion, including the full spectrum of gender expression. And last year, I talked a little bit about the history of the rainbow flag, each color symbolizing a different aspect of pride and diversity of community. The rainbow, of course, holds special meaning in Jewish tradition, a promise by God made in the Torah not to destroy the earth again, a symbol of the covenant God made with Noah, and the promise of our ongoing relationship between God and humanity. Tonight, instead of some history, I just want to take a moment to lift up two voices of my colleagues, Rabbi Micah's colleagues, two Reform rabbis who are fighting for LGBTQ rights and trying to open doors for others in the Jewish community and at the state level. The first is Rabbi Don Gore, who was my and Micah's teacher at the LA campus of HUC JIR. He taught us a class called Practical Rabbinics, which was the seminary's attempt to teach rabbinic students how to officiate at Life Cycle, kind of from a book, because we weren't experiencing it. It was an interesting class, and Rabbi Gore did an excellent job. His husband, Cantor Evan Kent, was part of a team of rabbinical students and rabbis who, Rabbi Mike and I were part of this. We rode our bikes from San Francisco to Los Angeles in the California AIDS Life Cycle fundraiser, a week-long event, and Cantor Evan Kent, the husband of Rabbi Gore, pretty much sang us the whole way down, other than maybe some steep hills. Anyway, clearly this was a much earlier point in my life, but Rabbi Micah is still riding, so good for you. Rabbi Gore was the first openly gay rabbi to be appointed senior rabbi of a large mainstream congregation. Reflecting on his experience, he recently said, "While the journey to full acceptance and welcome within the community wasn't an easy one, I never imagined during my time as an HUC JIR rabbinical student, hidden deep within the closet, that my career would be so fulfilling and meaningful. While doors were closed to me along the journey," so when he started rabbinical school, you could not be out. "While doors were closed to me, I'm pleased and proud that over the years, more and more of those doors swung open. The seminary that wouldn't have ordained me had I been out, invited me to then later on teach and mentor students like us. The world of synagogue life that was originally closed to me embraced me and Evan. They opened doors and hearts, allowing me to serve as their rabbi with complete openness and integrity. I feel privileged to have shared my professional journey with a loving partner, caring friends and family, and a supportive community. Together, we forced open the doors so that future generations of rabbis could walk through them with their heads held high." The second voice is that of Rabbi Daniel Bogard. While I have not met him in person, he reached out to me and Rabbi Micah when he was ordained because his wife is also a rabbi, and they were looking to talk about rabbinic couples, to talk with other rabbinic couples about job placement and what to do. Rabbi Daniel Bogard is currently rabbi in St. Louis, Missouri, where he was born and raised, serving the same congregation where he grew up in. And he says that what keeps him and his wife, also named Karen, up at night is the possibility of his state government coming to take his transgender child away. Earlier this spring, when the Missouri Attorney General announced a temporary order banning gender transforming care for trans individuals, he compared the experience of trans people and their families in our country, especially in red states, to what Jews may have felt like in the 1930s in Germany. These rabbis have been actively campaigning in Missouri, sometimes accompanied by their son. While Rabbi Bogard says he is incredibly tired, he says, when the government's coming after your kid, you don't get to quit. While Missouri is home to his family, they are also sadly looking for an exit plan if that becomes needed, much like the Jewish people's exodus over time. Rabbi Bogard observes the increased intersection of anti-Semitism and LGBTQ hate rising. He said, "We're doing everything we can to fight for the future that our kid and every kid deserves, and sometimes it feels like we're putting a target on our back." He urges all of us to urge our state representatives to pass a bill making our state a trans haven. Personal stories are important, and perhaps you have your own. It is easy to believe the negative report. There are Keshet staff right now who live and work in Florida, and they are watching their state sanction the erasure of their community. The Keshet organization recently issued a statement. We and all of us at Keshet want Floridians and all those across the country facing similar legislation to know that we see you, we love you, we support you. We are actively working to create a more just society and a hate-free world. The news feels overwhelming at times, but we know that people cannot be legislated out of existence. Queer people have always been here and will always be here. We are your friends, family, and neighbors. There are still these hopeful voices of Caleb and Joshua. We can imagine a land flowing with milk and honey, a land flowing with rainbows and glitter. Especially during this month of Pride, and as we approach Juneteenth as well, as Jews, we have an ethical imperative to treat each person as holy and deserving of respect and dignity. When we speak out for equality, we change the narrative that religious means anti-LGBTQ. It is, in fact, a mitzvah, a religious obligation to fight for the freedom and dignity of all people. I would like to end with one more reading from this wonderful Siddur. It is a poem about a rainbow. When I see a rainbow on the flag flying from the lamppost, fluttering in the Pacific breeze, I know that God made a covenant between us. If we lived our lives in black and white, we would never see that promise God made. To see all those colors together reminds me that God is there for you and for me. Shabbat Shalom. So, just a reminder, Jessica Bordeaux is becoming Bat Mitzvah tomorrow morning, 10:30 a.m. here in our sanctuary. We look forward to celebrating with you and your family. All are welcome. And before 10:30, our lay-led minyan will be meeting actually in the Beit Simcha this Shabbat, not the library, to enable Rabbi Zub to chant some Torah. And I heard him today, so he's practicing and he's ready. So that is Shabbat. Happy Father's Day to those who are celebrating. And please check your weekly shofar email for other programs coming up. Since Jessica's dad is a member of the Tornadoes, our Temple's softball team, is there a game? What? Co-captain with Matt Mallon, also here. So is there a game this Sunday that you might want to share? Or it's what? It's raining. Oh, raining. All right. Next Sunday, is there still a game? No, we're done. All right. Well, on a scale from 1 to 10, how did the Tornadoes do this season? 10. Oh, 10. Excellent. Well, thank you to Matt and Matt for your leadership. Lastly, next Shabbat, we've got one more bar mitzvah to go after Jessica, Robert Grassfield, and Friday evening, cantoral soloist Lisa Marcus Jones will be joining me on the bima. So lots more to look forward to. And lastly, I will just mention again, on your way out, you're welcome to check out some of the signs from the Keshet organization, the stickers that are there. You are welcome to take one if you want. It's a sticker that says LGBTQ safe zone. You can put that anywhere. And lastly, and this is maybe in case anyone is listening as well, if any of the language that I've been mentioning or that you see out there is maybe unfamiliar to you, words like cisgender, transgender, non-binary, Pronouns, you'll notice our stickers of pronouns. If any of this is maybe newer for you, I do encourage you to go on the Keshet website, keshet.org. You can also, so they have kind of a whole vocabulary around different terminology. There's also the Non-Binary Hebrew Project. That's also a website, and whole movement to open up Hebrew, because Hebrew is a gendered language. And I'll just give you one example. The CCAR, the kind of overarching body for Reform rabbis, just coined the term this year, bet mitzvah. So to sort of come out of bar and bat mitzvah, which is son and daughter, for those who identify in a more gender expansive way, bet mitzvah. And there's a whole reason why they chose that. So I'm going to save that for another sermon. But again, if you're interested in just learning about that language, I encourage you to. And I also just want to acknowledge Bonnie Wellens, who's here, chair of our inclusion committee. And Beth David's inclusion committee has been talking about these issues. You'll notice, again, some more open language around gender that we're putting in our communications. And actually now, if you join Temple Beth David as a new member, there is a choice of pronouns of he, she, they, as well as religious school registration. So we are opening our language here as well. We are going to move into our concluding prayers for this Shabbat. You can find Aleinu L'Shabeach on page 282, and we rise once more. I don't know. Aleinu L'Shabeach
On
Ladon
hakol latekiru laliotzer breshit shelo asanu kigoye ha'aratzot velo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama shelo sam chelkenu kahem וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. We remain standing and turn now to page 294 for Mourner's Kaddish. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. We are especially remembering these members of our community who have passed away in recent weeks for the period of Shloshim. Enid Watsky, mother of Matt Watsky, mother-in-law of Nancy Gottlieb, grandmother of Sarah, Liz, and Rachel. Mark Lipschitz, father of Karen Merstein, father-in-law of Brian Merstein, grandfather of Samantha and Haley. And we are remembering these loved ones whose yahrzeit, whose anniversary of death occur this week. Alden Aronson, Harriet Boehm, Bernard Gottlieb, Joseph Grasovsky, Jean Ann Hoffman, Morris Horowitz, Lily Kroch, Cynthia Pincus Russell, Belle Rothblatt, Mitchell Selig, Shirley St. Amour, Jeffrey Lee Stoloff, Marie Watsky, Beatrice Walensky. If there are other names that you are remembering, you may share them with us.
Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. Be'alma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon u'vyomechon uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael. B'galal v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudsha b'richu. Le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata. Damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be a blessing. We're going to invite Jessica Bordeaux forward to our bima once more to lead us in Kiddush and Motzi. And thank you to the Bordeaux family for sponsoring our Oneg Shabbat tonight. We are on page 5.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon Hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom tehila lemikra kodesh zeher litziat mitzrayim kivanu vaharta Ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim ve'shabbat kodshecha ve'ahava uvratzon kinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Amen. L'chaim. All right, so Jessica, we're going to come on over, and this is great news because we always invite anyone who have not yet become Bar Bat B'nai Mitzvah. So this is great because for just a little while longer, your friends, Jacob and May, can join you. See, it's a mitzvah. When you become Bar Mitzvah, you're not going to want to be alone up here. So this is good. All right. But Jessica, you're going to lead us.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lahem min haaretz.
Shabbat Shalom. All right. Well, we will take this out for everyone. Shabbat Shalom. Mazel Tov. Jessica, to your family. I know, May, we need a special one. Okay. All right, please join us in our concluding prayer, words of peace. Oseh Shalom, may God who makes peace above bring peace here amongst all of us.
Oseh Shalom bimromav,
Uyaseh Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Shabbat Shalom. Forgot to also mention June birthday blessing next Shabbat, June birthday blessing, and a camp send-off blessing. So join us next Friday, Shabbat.